All right, guys, surface area of prisms and pyramids. I'm going to try and get through this quickly because, well, I don't want to be here any more than you want to be here. So we're going to try and go through this kind of fast. First of all, surface area. What we're talking about, if you don't already know what the surface area is it's the area of the surface of the shape. So like this shape right here, we've got a rectangular prism, and the surface area is the area of all of the surfaces. And this is where we've got to be a little bit careful because we're working in 3 dimensions. I don't just have a rectangle connected to a square. I've got this rectangle in front. I've got what looks like maybe a square or another rectangle on the side. I've got this rectangle on top. Not only that, but I've got shapes on the bottom and the back and the left that I can't even see that I need to find the area of. And that gives me the surface area of the whole shape. So surface area, it's exactly what it sounds like. The area of the surface, or the area of all of the outside surfaces of this shape. We'll get on to volume, which is the inside, another day. So formula for surface area of any prism. I'm sorry to say there's not just one set formula. Take this number, times it by this number, and you get the answer. The formula for the surface area is to find the area of all the surfaces. Add them together. That's as much of a formula as we're going to get. You find the area of all the surfaces and you add them together. And I'm going to do that one way on this video just to kind of show you an easy version of it. There's maybe ways that you can do it yourself that are faster. That's fine with me. You just got to be careful that you're finding the areas of all the different surfaces. So the way that we're going to do it in this video, we're going to start with the rectangular prism. We know it's a rectangular prism because it looks like a bunch of rectangles have been stacked on top of each other, kind of like a stack of graham crackers. And our base is that shape that's on the bottom. We can't really see it. They didn't draw those dashed lines in the background. Maybe we'll draw those in there so you can see them. But back behind our shape and underneath our shape, there's these sides that we can't see. But we still need to find the area of those sides and add all of them together. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to start by, I've got some colored pencils here. You're welcome to use mine anytime. But I'm going to start by finding the area of this side. And the nice thing about prisms is once I find the area of this side, it's the same as the area of the side across from it. So this side over here, I'm going to outline it in blue also. These two are actually the same shape. And so I just need to find the area of one of them, and then I can use it to find the area of the other. So if I look at this shape, it has a height of 9, and it has a width or a length of 6. So it's not a square. It kind of looks like a square from here, but it's actually a rectangle. It's 9 tall, it's 6 wide. So to find that area, all I have to do is 9 times 6. So I do 9 times 6, and I'm going to remember to double that, but we'll start with just this. 9 times 6 is 54, but there's 2 of those. So I've got one 54, and I've got another 54 because this one and this one are both 54. And I'm going to leave it just like that for now. Now I've got 4 other sides. I've got the top and the bottom, the front and the back. I'm going to get a different colored pencil. I'm going to get a green one, and we're going to find the area of this top shape right here. This rectangle on top, and that happens to be the same as the rectangle on the bottom. And if I look at my picture, how wide is this rectangle? It's 14 wide. And how tall, or what's the height of the rectangle? It's the 6. It's this side gives me the height. So it's 14 by 6. So I need to do 14 times 6. And again, there's 2 of them, but we're going to start out by just doing one of them. So 14 times 6, well, 14 times 5 is 70, plus another 14 is 84. So the bottom is 84 units, and the top is also 84 units. Because they're the same shape. So I've got a 54, an 84, and an 84. So I'm going to get another colored pencil because my shape has 6 sides and I've only got 4 areas. So my next two sides are going to be this front shape right here. That front rectangle. And there's another one in the back that hopefully if I highlight it, it doesn't confuse you. But that front is the same shape as the back. So there's two of them. And the width of that is 14. So it's 14 across. But then this length isn't 6 because it goes up and down. And that happens to be this 9, this height right here. So my red rectangles are 16, sorry. They're 14 by 9. And that gives me the length times the height. So 14 times 10 is 140. But I don't have times 10, I have 9. So I'm just doing this in my head. I don't feel like using a calculator today. So 140 minus 14, because it's only times by 9. So it's 126. And if the front is 126, then the back is also 126. So those are my other two sides. So I've got 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 sides. I've got a left and a right, a top and a bottom, a front and a back. So I've got 6 measurements, I've got 6 sides, so I'm pretty sure I've got all the numbers that I need. Now I just need to add them together. Now I need to take all of them, and I need to do 54 plus 54 plus 84 plus another 84 plus 126 plus 126. And we'll let the calculator do this one for us. So 126 plus 126 plus 54 plus 54 plus 84 plus 84. I know that's in a different order, but it's just addition, so we're okay. 528. 528, now we're finding area, which is 2 dimensions. So 528 centimeters squared gives me the outside of that shape. All right, now we're gonna keep going. We're not going to do the pyramid quite yet. We're going to drop down to this prism, which we need to be careful. Right now, it's lying on this rectangular side, but it's not a rectangular prism. Because if I were to stack a whole bunch of those rectangles on top of each other, my shape would look like this, but it doesn't. The shape that I keep stacking on top of itself is actually this shape in front. It's a prism that got tipped over, which you'll see a lot, especially when they're triangular prisms, because this triangle is the base and it's just getting stacked on top of itself. So it's kind of like a package of saltines, but my saltines are shaped like triangles instead. So let's start with the front and the back, because that shape, those are the same. And so we only have to find that one once, and it can cover 2 of our shapes, 2 of our sides. So my front, if I look, is 16 across. And now I need to know the height of my triangle, which is right here. This 90 degrees gives me the height, and it says that's 6 inches. So my height is my triangle is 16 times 6, but it's a triangle, so then I need to divide it by 2. So 16 times 6, 16 times 5 is 80, plus another 16 is 96, but then I've got to cut that in half, so my height, or my triangle, sorry, my area of my triangle is 48. But I have 2 of those triangles. So one of them is 48, but I have another one that's also 48. So there's 2 of my sides. Now I've got 3 more sides. I've got the left right here, I've got the right, and I've got the bottom face right now. So let's go ahead and we'll do, ooh, that might look too much like the red. Let's do this one on the right. So I'm going to just outline it so we know which one we're doing. I've got another rectangle right here on the right, and it's this side of the rectangle is 8. This side of the rectangle is 10, because that arrow's pointing to this line right here, which is 10. So my rectangle is 8 by 10, and that's easy. 8 times 10 is 80. So the area of that piece is 80, which is a third side. Now, if I look carefully, and here's where we need to be a little bit careful, because this side over here looks like it might be the same, but I'm going to double check. I'm going to outline it just so I know what shape I'm looking for. And this side of my shape is 10, just like this one was 10. And the length, this part of my shape, is 8, just like this one. So this on the left is actually just like the one on the right. So I'm just going to write down 80 because I've got 2 of those that are the same. However, the bottom is not the same as the sides because the bottom, if I take this rectangle that's on the bottom, and hopefully you can see through these colors a little bit, I've got this rectangle on the bottom, and here's where we've got to be careful to keep track of all these sides. I've got 1, 2, 3, 4 sides so far, but I know there's 5 sides to this shape, and that bottom is a rectangle, and that rectangle is 16 across. It tells me right here that length is 16, and this length of my rectangle is 8. So I've got to do 16 times 8 to get that area, and there's only one of those. I don't see another shape that looks like that. Now, 16 times 10 is 160, but I don't have times 10, I have times 8. So I've got to get rid of 32, so 160 minus 32 is 128, I hope. I'm doing good math. You can double check me on the calculator. But I think it's 128 for that bottom piece. So I've got 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 sides. I've got the bottom, the left, the right, the front, the back. That's 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 sides. So I have all of the sides of my shape. Now I just need to add them together. So I take 48 right here, plus another 48, plus 80, plus 80 more, plus 128. And I'm going to add all those together to get the surface area. So 48 plus 48 plus 80 plus 80 plus 128. I add those together and I get 384. And again, we're doing area. So 384 inches squared would cover the outside of that shape. Okay? All right, moving on. Hopefully you're ready to move on. If not, pause it. If you need to rewatch these videos, rewind it. But we've got this side over here, a pyramid. Formula for the surface area of any pyramid is exactly like the formula for the surface area of a prism. We've got sides of the shape, all these different faces. We need to find the area and add them together. So we're just going to take this definition and we're going to write the same thing down over here. Find the area of all the surfaces. Find all areas. Add them together. Triangles though, or excuse me, pyramids, we've got to be a little bit careful of. Sometimes there's parts of it that are easier, but then there's also parts of it that can be a little bit more confusing. So let's start with the easy part. The bottom of this pyramid is a square. And I'll tell you right now, every pyramid you see this year, the bottom will be a square. So the bottom is always a square. So if this is 16, that means this is 16, and this is 16, and this is 16. It's going to be the same. So the area of a square is simple, 16 times 16. It's just the length of the square times the height of the square. Now 16 times 10 is 160, 16 times 5 is 80, so that adds up to 240, but I've got another 16, so 256. I believe, should we double check? 16 times 16. Hey, I'm good at math. 256. So that gives me the area of the bottom of my shape. Now here's where we need to be careful because the next step is a lot easier than these shapes, but we have to be careful to use the right numbers because what's cool about pyramids when the bottom is a square is all of the sides are the same. This triangle right here is the same triangle as this one, and that's the same triangle on the right and the same triangle on the back. So now we've got 4 of the same shape. We just have to be careful what numbers we use for that shape. So I've got this triangle, and I know that the bottom of the triangle, this length right here is 16 because all of the bottoms are 16. So I've got this triangle that's 16 wide. I'm going to write that down, 16. Now the height of the triangle is where a lot of you are going to make mistakes because I've got this height, but then on my picture it gives me another height in the middle. Now this height in the middle, if you look at the picture, that line comes from the middle of the pyramid at the bottom and goes straight up. So what that tells me is the height of the pyramid. Well, I don't want the height of the pyramid. I want the height of this shape, which is this slanted height. It's not the one that goes straight up from the middle, it's the one that goes up from the middle of my triangle. And my triangle's this shape right here. So I've got to use, we call that the slant height. The height of that triangle, not the height of the pyramid. So my triangle is 16 by 17, but it's a triangle, so I'm going to divide that by 2. So we'll do 16 times 17 divided by 2 is 136. So 136, but that's one triangle. I've got 4 triangles. I have the one on the front, the one over here on the right that's kind of hard to see, and the one in the back that's really hard to see right there. In fact, maybe I'll shade that triangle in. So I've got 4 triangles and they're all the same, 136. So I'm going to write that down 4 times, 136, 136, 136. Now I need to add all those together and figure out the surface area, because these are all my surfaces. Now I need to add them together. So 256 plus 136 plus 136 plus 136 plus 136. I think that's 4. Yep. So 256 plus 136 plus 136 plus 136 plus 136 gives me 800. 800 inches. Those are our units, and we're finding area, which is in 2 dimensions, so 800 inches squared. That gives me the area of my pyramid, the bottom and then the 4 sides all added together. Okay, now you're going to try a couple on your own. I know we went fast. I'm sorry we went kind of fast, but that's the great thing about a video. You can pause it, you can rewind if you're not sure how to do any of these ones. If you want to borrow colored pencils, come on over, come borrow them. But you've got 3 shapes down here that I need you to find the area of. You've got this rectangular prism. You have this prism, which again, it's on its side, but this triangle is what keeps getting stacked on top of itself. So it's just a triangular prism that's tipped over, and then you have this square pyramid. So find the area of those shapes, bring me up your notes, show me that you know what's going on, and we'll get you the practice for the day. Good luck.